Swapan has won many awards. The next one he's going to win very soon is the fittest photographer of the year. He's generally found in the gym when he's not shooting. He's won the World Press Photo Award. He's been on the jury 3 times. So next time during the jury, let me know earlier so we can have it. So, and he has done a lot of documentary photography as well as advertising photography, and is known to have brought in that documentary aesthetic into advertising. He's going to show some of his work now, and then I think he's going to show his personal work, neither the and the advertising work, commercial work, and something that he shot last evening, I guess. Okay. So,
before I start, whoever's come here for an artist talk may be disappointed because I'm not going to say much, at least initially. It will be a viewing, and maybe I'm breaking protocol, but I've decided that I'm just going to show pictures back to back. Hopefully say a few things before I start, just to put the work in perspective. To begin with, before I even talk about my work, and I think everyone said it, but I want to say it again, Prashant, Dinesh, and the entire team, what you guys have done here, as I'm already getting emotional saying this, is something so wonderful. And just that, so many people can come here and candidly talk about photography. It never happened earlier. I mean, I've been shooting 30 years now, and I had the privilege of knowing some greats, when I shot. But the fact that it's going to become so much more democratic and available, and you can just sit and just stop someone walking somewhere and talk, I think it's just fabulous. And I did shed quite a few tears in the last few days that I was here. But what took, everything was a backseat as to what happened yesterday, last evening, when everyone was probably watching the viewing at the amphitheater. I was just walking in the visual arts gallery, and I was at the Kanno Gandhi show in front of a picture of Gandhi, which obviously all of us have seen, but now we got a name to that work. And as I was getting emotional about it, and suddenly at the back, I just hear Jana Gana Mana, and it was coming from a very, very, infantile voice, and I just turned around. There was a 4-year-old girl just running all over the place and singing Jana Gana Mana. And obviously it's nothing to do with photography in the larger sense, but I'm just saying this. It was moments like this that I just thought that, it transcends photography, it transcends egos, it transcends everything, and it's so, so very special. And each and every tear I've shed here is so worth it, and I just bow to Wes, Prashant, and Dinesh, and all of you who I think are the real people who have actually made this happen. Besides that, on my way, here, I was trying to just write down something, and just said I quickly write it. But my daughter always tells me, "What's with your handwriting, man?" So I'm actually trying to read what I've written, just this much, and I'm like, oh man, I got to go back to school. But I'm still going to try. Just 2-3 points before we start. Yes, the crying part is over. Artist talk part is over. It's going to be an artist view, or if you want to call me an artist or whatever. And for me, photography is always been a picture at a time. Okay, it sounds like a big cliche, but that's the way my life has been. Image after image, frame after frame. For me, I'm very interested in what's happening in the frame. Yes, when I said yesterday about words and stuff like that, it wasn't a blanket statement. Lots of works need to be put into context. I absolutely, agree to that. I think my discomfort is sometimes when too much is spoken about how those images need to be seen. Sometimes let's just chill a little and just enjoy an image for what it is. And like Raghu said that day, Raghu uncle, sorry. Let's not try and shoot too much from here. Let's shoot and then see where the work goes. Yeah, for me, basically my journey in photography, which started way back in 1982, when my father passed away, who, just to put things in context, he was the legendary photojournalist Parekh, who I think changed the face of photojournalism, and I'm sure some people here would be able to enlighten me on, how he did it. But he died. I went to his cupboard, hugged his clothes, and that was the day I decided to pick up the camera. Uh, My former training was as a documentary photographer at the International Center of Photography in 1988. Studied documentary photography formally, but somehow got sucked into this very strange world of bringing in the documentary aesthetic into advertising and the fictionality of advertising to almost make a manufactured reality. And that's what my larger journey, public journey in photography has been. And of course, concurrently, always doing my personal work. What I have planned here is to stop talking here. I'm going to show a lot of images. So bear with me. If you're going to have all the lights off, so anyone wants to take a lovely 25-minute nap, this is the time to do it. Let's start. And I would suggest that if there are any images that you feel you want to note down or something, I don't know how you'll do it, but just keep a visual on the image. We'll come back to it after the thing, because these are three distinct journeys of documentary, advertising, and the personal work. Only thing I want to say is that yes, about Photoshop, because I get asked that quite often. My Photoshop is, I basically grew up processing my film like Prabhudo or Pablo and doing my own prints. Till now I have my darkroom. That doesn't mean I don't do digital. Last 3 years I haven't entered the darkroom. So for me, the physicality of a picture also was very important. But now I do succumb to the fact that if ever I were to go back to film, it would be like meeting an old girlfriend and just having a one-night stand. But I think now my long-term relationship is going to be with digital. And here, Photoshop is limited to conventional darkroom techniques. Means it's your color contrast, etc., etc. Nothing has been altered. And in my advertising also, and it's been a singular fight for me, that I brought in the documentary editorial requirements, in the sense I would give just one print to the client, I would insist that it's not cropped, and I kept my negatives, which I now think is the right decision, because 20 years later, some of these images I think have a historical value in the context of where the commercialization and other aspects of the Indian society is going. Okay, I've said too much, I'm starting. Just put it on, and then I think any more people need to comment? No? Just put it on. It's actually the early work when I was doing documentary photography. It's my early initiation after studying. It's work done in early 90s when I was probably in my 20s. Basically, this Baba was an ex-terrorist who adopted the children of terrorists who had been gunned down by the police. So they had a great sense of vengeance. So he kind of adopted them and stopped them going into terrorism. Interesting about this camera. This was the initiation of John Abraham into the world of glamour. He used to work as a apprentice at Enterprise. So these are his legs everywhere. He's an intern at an air agency at that time. Just imagine everything a little deeper. I think this is just too bright a projection, but we'll go with that. why I put this in is not because of Amitabh, but because of the these are like single frames. This is a I mean when I shot these when he was working. So I just thought that the journalism days and all came back to me where I was just given probably, oh, this was done in a question of 20 minutes and we pulled off an ad campaign. And at least I don't, what I like about these is at least he's not aware of this being photographed. So I just thought I'd put it in because documentary helped me to do this kind of work too. Here's where the fight for the full frame even began in advertising, including the black line that you printed in the dark room. I had to fight with a lot of people to get that in there. Black line, incidentally, was a way of saying that it's a full frame when you print it conventionally. Actress Amala, animal activist. the kind of manufactured reality that I was talking about. It's fun doing all this on film because you knew you didn't have a second chance, so enjoyed that. The campaign for Channel 9 was going to launch in India on DD Metro, coincidentally on September 11, and their icon was the sofa. Another one of the examples of bringing in the editorial principle is trying to get a credit line at the bottom left, if you see. That was a huge fight. This was a campaign that was trying to show the Indian psyche to the written word. Bathing is prohibited, survivor would be prosecuted. And an alligator on top. So I wonder how you'd survive an alligator attack.
Can I take the lead?
Really, I never noticed you in there. As long as I'm facing you.
What was the influence of your father? I mean, an unconscious or a subconscious or a conscious influence?
You tell me you were there, my father was around, I wasn't.
No, but I mean,
No, of course. I mean, the thing is that to me, I think what Prabhupada was saying yesterday, the word longing, I think all this is somehow a longing that's somewhere inside me that thrown into an arena, and with the help of people like you, Prabhu Uncle, and lots of other, seniors and contemporaries. That I jumped into the same, and then a couple of, life roughs thrown life. What do you call it? Life boy, whatever. Try to stay afloat. Initially, yes, I did have a problem. I think in my first year, and then when I went to study at ICP, they used to take. Mansi, correct me if I'm wrong. Do they still do that? Just take 12 students a year. No, okay. That time you took 12 students from all over the world, so you'd be very happy if you got in at ICP. And I had this set of pictures, and then I took them, and I was like, okay, I'm in ICP, and that's it, I'm in the Magnum town. So, and the third day that I was at ICP, somebody knew a Magnum, actually an Indian photographer who worked for Magnum, Bhupendra Karya. So, and I heard he was a tough man, so I kind of landed there. I showed my pictures, the first thing, and I was like, okay, let's Magnum territory. Kate was contact sheets are just in the next room. He told me, so you think you Kate Bresso, huh? I mean, I didn't say anything, I just showed the pictures. So he says, he just took the pictures, flung them away, saying just because an ICP means nothing, go back, come and meet me after 4 months. I think that was a very early realization that, boss, you need to not look like somebody. I'm sure everyone has influences. But how they show or how they resonate in your work, I mean, sometimes it's for others to say, but I've tried to be conscious about the fact that to stay away from an early influence of, say, Kishore Parekh or Raghu Rai and people who, were in my immediate life, and dad in terms of my growing up years, but not in my photography years. And people like Raghu Rai and the other, Bhavan Singh, Pramod Pushkarna in the early days. So I tried. So I really don't know. Influence, I mean, I tried to consciously keep it away. But I think Dad was a very different photographer. Both of us are very different photographers. What kind of photography we did is very, I think the genres are completely different. So I don't know if that answers your question. Okay, we'll meet outside for a coffee.
How do you go about constructing your advertising images?
With quite a large team that works with me, because the idea is to the end result should look like it's just been shot. But I think that's where documentary photography helped me, because you kind of knew what a realistic image looked. And so I used that to my advantage, and I used to tell the team, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this, and probably sometimes go with them. So sometimes you needed a very good coordinator, what they call a production person, and a team, and you needed to know what you did and put it together. There's always a cost factor in advertising. You have to stay, you don't have a second chance. So I think it's great fun, and I really enjoyed doing it. And the team, you're as good as the horizontal talent that works with you. So you've got to work with a good team who understands what you're trying to do. You may look crazy while you're putting a computer in a coffin, but I just get a one-line brief from and none of the agency people ever came to the shoot. They just left it to me. It was always like, death of the computer is the thought, because we're launching a set-top box where you don't need the computer to surf the net. So I said, that's great, and so I thought I'd shoot it this way. So we discussed it, and then everything else was worked out, and I had friends who had been in the German war shooting, so the paraphernalia of the execution was actual real paraphernalia from the Vietnam War. So, things like this, where you get your inputs, which are physical in nature in the photograph that you see, and plus the people you work with who should understand the brief and go everywhere, because you can't leave it to anybody. So all the advertising work happens there.
What about the ethical dilemmas of the setups? Because you have a documentary background, and then using those constructs in your advertising, like the way, let's say, the death of the computer, or there was something of a funeral kind of a setup. So did you have those ethical dilemmas when you were doing that?
Not really, because I think it's about quirkiness. I think people just lighten up, yeah. And advertising is, come on, yeah. Every time you're just seeing a product displayed in a particular way. And I think this was a big shift from the way advertising was looked at, and very fact that there were some clients who went with this kind of advertising was only supported because of my earlier work. I never have yet ever gone to anybody for an assignment, and I don't know how 30 years later I'm still standing in and shooting. I really don't know. I know it's changed now. I know this kind of advertising is tied to recent death, I would say, with the overkill of not overkill. I think it's always a transition, because the internet coming in print just doesn't seem so viable anymore. So ethical issues, no, I didn't have any. Because I enjoy a picture at a time. That's what I told you, and I just really try not to make a big deal about it, because the joy of just producing an image is advertising. But when I'm doing my personal work, I think that's where the ethical thing is. It's shot as is. I never arrange anything. In any of my personal pictures, I have been candidly. So that's the on-off switch between advertising and. But to me, it's a blur, and it doesn't bother me at all. And I can switch like this. And while doing my advertising work, I could a lot of the personal images, like Prabhudev said. He could be anywhere and get his own image, and you don't think about, it's going to fit in here, it's going to fit in there. I'm enjoying the process at that time and that moment in time, and however cliche it sounds, I really don't want to get into a thing as to sochenge ke baad mein, enjoy the moment, get it, and then see what you can do about it. But ethically, no, I think I'm all right.
Can I ask Karan this question? Why do you think there was an ethical issue there? Because you have come across looking back and
If I want to say I'm a documentary photographer, I'm not claiming to be anything there. But there's a certain degree of respect that you give your subjects, and if you're going to use those moments and you're going to, let's say, use those elements and put them into selling a product, let's say, could be anything, could be a service in this case, I believe. I think, for me personally, that seems to be on the borderline somewhere.
Yeah, that's because it's being viewed
And
together.
there is a problem that you set it up.
It's
problem was
because,
that
agreed.
showed that in that particular way.
Thanks, because then I'll keep doing all those ads. Nobody else will do it. No, the thing is, I enjoy that. I really love it. Earlier, 20 years back, I used to be walloped by the seniors to say, you're a deserter of documentary. I said, I'm not deserting anything, I'm still taking pictures. I really, really enjoy doing this. And to me, this ethical issue, I think I understand what you're saying, that taking a documentary signage, if you may, and putting it in a...
I mean, like, you have a subject. you give them some kind of respect, I'd say. You have, you're respecting a subject and you need to do that when you're a documentary photographer. My problem is, or the question I'm asking has nothing to do with you switching over from documentary to advertising, and there's an ethical element in that, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. I was talking about more of your subjects, that you maybe, because you had that kind of a knowledge, because you've done that.
Subjects in the ad or
Subjects of using elements of what you already know.
But these are all make-believe, right? All these characters are actors or they pulled out from the street.
It is.
So I don't have a problem about the crossover. Now ethics, see, I mean, it's like, sometimes if you want to be a photographer, you want to be a photographer, yeah? I mean, what's the big deal? That's an image, this is an image. If I think very seriously about it, I mean, fine. But look at the personal work. I mean, it's on another journey. It's still about people, but they're just probably lurking outside the frames. And it's still so much about me and my life, and it's come from the interstices of my life, and they are photographic reflexes of what you see and react and intuitively feel at that moment, right? So in that sense, it's there. In fact, I think it's fun because you lighten up, yeah. I mean, you take ourselves so seriously, and at the end of the day, we're, like Ramu said, you're all shooting here. I'm not saying you're doing that, but I'm saying just take pictures, yeah. It's just, for me, it works. For others, obviously, if there are issues, I mean, there are valid issues. I'm not saying no, but if you would ask me, is it a problem for you? No. I just enjoy taking pictures, however lame that sounds.
It's an interesting question.
It is, that's what I'm saying.
That maybe I haven't understood. Is it that you're saying how does he take this? No, you keep this because Karan, are you saying that you have a problem with Swapan being a documentary photographer essentially, and using that eye that he has developed? Or having done documentary work, which requires a certain sort of a mindset in terms of the relationship with the subject that he has, and then impose that eye that he has in shooting that on another discipline, which is advertising. Is that the issue that you're...
I forgot to tell you one thing. I'm so sorry. I think that may answer it better. This is stuff I did in the 90s and I abandoned it. I'm no more a documentary. I'm so sorry I didn't mention that. Prashant did mention you should tell what is done with. That was the initial years, and I wasn't comfortable doing documentary advertising because I wasn't here to change the world, right? And I respect people who do that. I don't have any romantic notions like that. That I feel so strongly for something and I want to change it. As I said, I enjoy taking pictures and I enjoy the visual. It may sound very simplistic to people now. Right. So I'm so sorry I didn't mention that. That's been like. I haven't even shown my World Press Award-winning picture because to me it was one news assignment I did in my life. Happened to win the World Press Award, and I sent I sent you all a mail that please don't use the word photojournalist, or because it's just stuck with me. And I, like an idiot, haven't put anything out there on the net. So they're like the 40 pages of Swapan Parekh, the photojournalist, which is not what I am, and I have great respect for them. I said, just imagine all the people who are photojournalists. For them, it's just something amazing. So yes, it's I said the larger public journey has been advertising, and documentary was the beginning of it, and now of course it's currently the personal work is going on. So now it's advertising personal.
Still, Swapan, my question is, what if you were doing both simultaneously today? Is there a sort of ethical, moral issue there that Karan has raised, which you might want to address? If you would, I mean, I'm still sort of trying to understand this. What exactly is the moral issue?
For me, I think, and I have someone who's worked with me since '99, Shashank, sitting right there. And he knows, I mean, when I don't have a camera, I'm all right. Once the camera comes in, I don't know why, it's like a shield to me. So I think then everything else stops mattering, and for me, I really don't think that much, honestly, because I think what we are today is a collection of memories defined by what you shoot today. At this moment is what you have seen till now. So you choose, and not just of your own work, but other people's work also. So you filter it out, and I think it happens so fast that it becomes a photographic reflex. I don't think I would be very honest to say I don't go through these ethical issues because I really don't think so much. I probably don't read that much, and maybe it's something maybe in the next lifetime I have to do. so that my conversations get more interesting. But I prefer to sit here and just hide behind pictures. I think that's what I do. Just hide behind pictures.
So would it be an issue if, for instance, he used his documentary work to depict an advertising situation? What he's doing is probably, to my mind, he's just using his experience from documentary work, and there's a certain why, and he's reconstructing in bits and pieces to create, obviously, an alternate reality in advertising. Is that an issue too?
Dinesh, I think this can go one step further. When you do advertising work where you, and he's a master of creating the unstable frame, where there are these hands popping in and, I don't think I need it, where there are hands popping in and feet moving out and things happening. And then you go and do your personal work. Are you wishing there was a hand popping in? You wish you could...
Trying to keep it out. I know about that kind of work. But it comes. I mean, it comes to now, but when it comes, there's a certain reason why it comes, whether it's, sometimes, I know the hand has been following me and it's something that, but I'm okay with it as long as it's now, there's a reason why it's coming in. And I just feel that coming back to something that I think should be discussed more is the history of photography and where it's coming from and what visuals exist in the world. Everything's being done, right? That way we should stop shooting. But I think by the awareness of that, rather than just talking about the contemporary, if we combine that knowledge of the history of where the medium is coming from, so I think it's absolutely important. And when I say formal training, I do not mean how to wield a camera. For me, it's like formal training in what the medium is. You choose to be a photographer, you choose to be a painter or whatever. It's nice to know what has been done so far in the medium, at least the work that's out there in the public domain. And then say, okay, this is now I got to, because I see a lot of work which looks damn interesting from people maybe 10 years, 20 years younger than me and who are shooting now. And I feel that, yeah, they're good images, but maybe if they were told that, Salgado did this in Brazil, in this mine, and it looked similar, you may say, oh, I don't know who Salgado is, or I don't know who, Joel Meyerowitz is, or whoever, or Friedlander, or Eggleston. The fact is, that's not enough, I mean, a friend of mine told me that Urdu is a great language, and just because you don't understand Urdu, you can't say it's crap. First understand Urdu and say, I like Persian more. So I think it needs to be understood that the history of photography would help you put your work in a better perspective. But the hand, I don't know, hand is following me, yes.
On a lighter, non-ethical note,
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you what have been some of your major influences in photography, but not exactly. It could be an artist, it could be a writer, it could be a poet.
मैं इतना पढ़ता नहीं हूँ, ये मेरा problem है, really problem
It could be
है.
an image.
No, there have been people who made me believe it's okay to do this. Like definitely Raghubi, but I got to just be an acquaintance to him and he passed away. So I really miss him today, just to be able to share images. I don't know that between me and I and in a hurry to know where that's happening. That's my current life, with advertising really kind of going down. Who do I share these pictures with? I'm never sure. And the editing process. So when I viewed works of Eggleston or Friedlander, I just realized it's okay to shoot the ordinary. It's okay for your work to be in the peripheries of the familiar. The ordinary can very well be something of interest to you, and I'm just being drawn to it. I never go out now to shoot pictures. It's just there, the camera's there. If you see something, it's a reflex. You take that picture and then worry about it later as to when. But it's always sometimes it's not about the story. It's about the storyteller. And I think in my case, it's about the storyteller and the way I choose to see the world. And I mean, a lot of people look, but I think seeing can take years. And now it's coming to a point where between me and I'm just seeing what the hell am I doing these images with? But it's coming there for a reason. So influences, yes, Eggleston, Friedlander, Mahendra, Raghubi Singh. I mean, more on the issues of it's okay to digress from what is conventionally a good frame or subject matter. I do not like a day in the life of and stuff like that.
Hi. I really appreciate your work in terms of layers. What I see, I observe, like whatever picture is there, it has some layers into it, which is a bit of a, it's a quite of a question, like everyone can't understand the layering part when it goes to streets. Whenever people, like anyone, I'm not pointing anyone, but when we are on practically on the streets, and we try to put some layers, and it shows that we are trying to implement things, or we trying to make some layers into the picture, and there and then at that point of time we're not able to do that. And what is the idea of, like, how you, whenever you of course you must have done a lot of street, I've seen.
Yes.
That's
That's the real schooling, yeah, of course. So you can't
That's
get away
the
from
real
that.
school,
Yeah.
I know. And how you manage to give a layer to a picture, like, as in there are 4 or 5 layers
Correct.
in every picture I can see, and which is the best part. I really appreciate which has come. You have taken that part in advertising as well, where else whenever I see anybody's advertising work which doesn't have this kind of layering thing happening, and would really give some tips regarding the layering.
Yeah, no, I'm a little like a clown, you know, I'm juggling balls, you know, and I like to juggle as many and try and keep as many afloat at the same time. That has been my greatest, and I'm surprised how I've just started graying now. I thought 10 years back, and people who work with me are like, God, man, what is this guy up to? Because I'll be shouting, I lose my voice when I'm working, because it's that light. Everything, suppose, I presume you're talking about the advertising or even about the street. The thing is, I like to make life difficult for myself, because I really do not, it's always been the Kira, in Bombay language, it's a Kira, that, you know, juggle as many balls, try and keep as many afloat, ek cheez nikal jati, I'll tell my head, try again, but you have to do it in a limited amount of time. So that was the challenge, to do it in a limited amount of time, or you saw it in the street and react instantaneously based, again I'm saying, on so what is your photo bank of your work and work you've seen. That is what is going to decide you, where today I cut off a head and I don't find it interesting, or I don't have a person in the frame and it's still about a person, vis-a-vis something which may be, you know, put in a more comfortable parking slot of conventional, you know, image making. So I love that challenge, and that is the only thing that gives me palpitations all the time. But wo to chahiye. So I'm like drenched. I carry 4 t-shirts every time I'm shooting. With the camera comes in, and I just go away. I don't know why. He correct me if I'm wrong, Shashank. And he wonders, and I've become a devil. I mean, internally, it just something possesses me. And there's another way people tell me you should do pranayam. Because once the camera's down, I'm like, cool, you know, everything's fine. But then it's everything about the image, and I should also learn to like. But yeah, I enjoy that layering, and yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Swapan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speakers just at one place, no?
So I want to divert back to the documentary work, mainly because it interests me personally, and mainly because I think a lot of images in the media don't tell the whole story, so a lot of the truth sometimes comes through the eyes of the documentary photographer. My question is about the first piece of work in the photo
Child
essay,
marriage, yeah.
the child marriage. Did you
Anyone
ever
wants to go back to any picture, just let me know. I don't have time for that.
did you ever feel when you were shooting that you wanted to sit and lecture them about the evils of it? I mean, I just want to understand your frame of mind when you were shooting that,
Yeah.
and how much of it you detach yourself because you have to tell a story, and how much of it is to sit and just shake somebody and, you know.
Again, the thought was not to change the world. I was fresh out of photography school, and they said, you're going back to India, so what do you have in plan? Because one of the big agencies that time, Black Star, said, okay, no, Marianne and had seen the work in one of the class, and she said, I want you to meet somebody. And Howard Chapnick, who's, you know, unknown figure at that time, saw some of my work, and he said, I want you to join Black Star right away. So here I am, like 21 years, and I'm like, what? He said, no, can you go to Turkey tomorrow? I'm like, no. He said, we have an assignment. No, I just want to go home. 1 year I've been here. I'm missing my family, my girlfriend, everything. So he said, what can you do for us in India? And that time, there was a place where I had access into a particular area. And this was something I had already thought of when I was in school, that I don't want to photograph the ritual, because it has been done. People know what a child marriage looks like. So how about if I follow the two till the day of the marriage, and that's what this is about. Um, I didn't shoot for a month in that village. So for 1 month it was just trying to be part of that existence. So that, because pressure of, I'm interested in a single image, right? At any point of time in my life, it's that image that's important to me. Later on I piece it together. So it's too much of pressure to worry कि ये picture भी है, वो picture, ये भी story. Unless I really care about that subject. Just see, I mean the thing is, oh, it's sensational. Every magazine, Life picked it up. Kid mentioned, Family of Man. The part 2 of that was Circle of Life, which happened. The part 2 version of that. They picked it up. So it got published everywhere, and then I realized, I'm just what am I doing? I'm doing what others are also doing. That only unless something sensational comes out of our so-called third pole. Shahidul rightly calls it majority world. Nobody's interested, or at least 10,000 people need to die in your country, or at least your prime minister needs to be assassinated. Then I suddenly get Sandeep knows, Time magazine first assignment, 21 Raghu Rai, Pablo, and Bob Nicholsberg, was it? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm in the wrong place, man. And so, yeah, I struggled with probably the ethical issues. And that's why I said that, okay, I have this, and then just simultaneously this one campaign came to me by someone who saw the child marriage work. So till date, I never gone and chosen or picked my assignment. It just happened, and one after the other, because I think this was not seen in advertising earlier, maybe at least not here. And I just got sucked in, I really enjoyed it. And I said, yeah, this is something I could live with. You're into a situation and you're out of it. And yeah.
Would you go back maybe sometime to
Yeah, I want to
reshoot
go
them?
and photograph these two today, because now they are 7 plus 21, 28-year-olds.
That would be lovely.
Just one picture.
That
Karna.
would be lovely.
Yeah, I want to do it. But just for kicks. Again, I don't know what it's going to do. Yes, auntie.
I just want to ask that today has the advertising become much easier due to technology and digital style, and the photographer's value, has it, God forbid, gone down? Or is it also that now that the photographer will not be doing that much of work because he can use so much technology, would he get less paid?
I think advertising in print, Prabhuto, help me out here. I think it's almost is really gone down. I cannot imagine doing these campaigns today. There's no way, because print is because it's too expensive a medium to survive now with everything accessible on the net. So if you ask me, yes, it's giving me much more time to do personal work. So easier in the sense, yes, I think digital has made it easier because you're just concentrating on pictures. Even in my personal work, between me and I happened because digital happened, because we were so used to control in the darkroom or processing our film, making our prints. Suddenly color became available to us. Otherwise, to go get a Chrome print done and get lousy colors was never satisfactory. Photoshop always existed. People keep talking about Photoshop coming after, and they mix it up with digital. To me, Photoshop always existed when we did film. The film went to the scanning guy, he scanned it, used Photoshop, and then they made a 4-color scan and printed it. So Photoshop was always, it's just now that it's coming to the hands of the practitioner. That's why people are doing all kinds of things with it. But I think, to answer your question, digital is great. Yes, there's a lot more messing around happening, and everything looks a little tight and bright, and people are playing with, and I have nothing against it, I also enjoy that. But I think print per se in advertising has really gone on, unless it's a straightforward lifestyle campaign. There's a lot of editorial work happening. But otherwise, idea-based campaigns, I used to thrive on that. They used to give me one line and I used to just take over. Like the Times of India campaign on the celebrities was nothing. They just gave me copy as to what these people are, and I said, okay, I'll do a portrait the way I want. And I just...
Say today, you are asked to, do we still need the value of, do we value the photographer still, despite of all the technology and the computers? Now it becomes, maybe some people are not even photographers, they're just technical. They know technology, they're engineers. They can even create in the computer something or the other. So it's so easy to almost create pictures from Timbuktu.
Somehow, I think a trained eye can spot most of this. I'm not saying all of it, most of it. And I still don't think this layering is possible.
I think a photographer or an artist, a photographer is an artist, an artist's brain, I think, is still very badly needed in spite of
Absolutely.
all the
To conceive and to see,
all
of
this,
course. Yeah, absolutely.
all
absolutely.
these computers and all this.
I think computers, I think people are getting scared of, I think it's a lovely tool, it's fantastic, and like I said, for me, I mean, I love shooting. I still have a fridge full of film which is nearing expiry.
So if
But,
if I try and go into advertising, as a photographer,
I don't recommend that today to anybody because I just know it's very difficult to make a living out of photography today.
it can't.
If somebody has the answers as to how to make a living out of photography in this room today and they can say everybody can use this magic formula, I don't know how to make a living out of advertising today or any photography for that matter. So I'm just enjoying.
Today, if I go into that.
Well, there used to be a time when there were 10, 15, 20 who were really doing the work. Now there are probably 1,000 on every street. So
I would imagine one of the biggest reasons is that most of the advertising money is moved to television.
Yes,
Your
yes.
main campaigns are on television, so about 85-90% of the
And
media
this-
spend goes to television.
and this whole
And
agency.
the entire theme-based advertising happens on television, so the press is used more as an informative medium rather than the theme.
I just shot my first ad film just before coming here. I was shooting an ad film because I just thought it was exciting. I'd seen 5D Mark
So
II.
you were badly needed as a photographer.
How can I say that?
Obviously,
Yeah, it was.
somebody is going to pay.
It was somebody I did my first ad with.
To really be very
बिल्कुल
happy.
87 में मैंने जिसके साथ पहली मेरी ad की, same person today came up, he owns an agency and said you got to direct, and because every campaign you're doing you're directing. So I've been told this last 10 years and I'm like, yeah, dealing with another 40 people, if I go mad, they'll go mad, not. But we did it because now I just feel the technique is allowing you to really, and I still am shooting that with my cameras and I take to equipment very easily. So there are certain rigs I get and I'm shooting ad films and they say bring in your style there. So I'm shooting it very casually and I'm really enjoying it. So we just finished that
So
and I'm probably going back a day after shooting another
sorry
one.
to say, I mean, we can't now call it a jugglery or something of so many these technologies. Or is it still the brain of a good artist? Is that?
Definitely. But I think just related to films, I think you need to also work with sound, you need to work with a good production team, which at least, because sound I think is a big part of film, it's not just a visual medium. So I think that needs to be kept into perspective, that and the editing, everything. A lousy shooting can be put and made to look absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic to what?
Well, absolutely fantastic.
No, I have seen real crappy footage and you just do like these nanosecond edits, tuck, and so, whoa. Or you just do a time lapse with
You just find a way to hide all this.
hide all this stuff. Yeah, because then post, I mean, they are like what they call smoke. Smoke can do anything that Photoshop can do. So, I mean, any frame you can take this and say you want this face removed. From here to here, if it's like a 10-second shot, the person can just be
You
made.
can make a jigsaw
Yeah,
puzzle.
yeah, I mean,
Take
it's
a-
being done. It's being done. And I
can
think
make
it's great.
one picture done by you and another one done by
That's the easiest.
someone else, another photographer, another, and put them all together and make a jugglery, and then I put it on the television screen.
I have a question.
Sorry, I'm taking.
Not at all. Not at all.
At your highest point in the advertising end of your work, what were your budgets like?
Alright, I see. You're serious.
Yeah, why not?
When you say budgets of the whole campaign, or you're talking
No, meaning
savings or
for,
fees?
photography,
Okay, I'll
post-production,
answer that if it needs to
pre-production.
be answered. That doesn't mean I get that now, but I try at least. So I just am not doing it. I think in advertising, the biggest portion of any campaign is the production budget. Some campaigns are very easy to do. You saw Jaisalmer, that campaign, which was supposed to be like a lifestyle between two people, but they shouldn't look like the Dilwara shooting where they're standing and featured palace. They should look like they're living in this place. It's probably one of the most expensive campaigns I was told out of India. There's like a 1.5 crore budget for that campaign.
Print alone.
Yeah. Never got printed, right? Never got printed.
Was this an enterprise thing?
No, this was directly Godfrey Phillips with the guy who launched Marlboro in the world. And he said, okay, we want to relaunch this brand called Jaisalmer. And then there was some ego problems they had, and then Philip Morris, and it's a long story. Basically, O&M was just there for the release. So a few hoardings happened, but we shot a lot. And that was 6 days shooting, and we had like some 3,500 images, all film. 645. No, but by and large, I mean, okay, I don't charge per day. I mean, I don't know what it works with others. I always charge per picture. That's why for a campaign, if there are 3 images, I used to charge per picture, whatever the fees.
That is not answering
No, it's not. Anywhere in couple of lakhs, yeah. And but I'm very particular also about where the usage is and for how long. And I'm supposed to be a pain at that. I'm losing that battle. But at some places like Singapore tourism, they wanted a worldwide release. So, yeah. But that's what allows you to do personal work. No? But now I don't know. I don't have any answers now with advertising.
Yeah. I would like to add on the same thing. I mean, since there are lots of young photographers sitting here.
Please don't make me. I'm young. I'm side of it. Please.
Yeah, father is forever young. Now, see, about 13 years ago or something, when I was making photography my profession, from the hobby that it was, lots of people told me it's very hard to survive. There is no money. I still hear that. I am surviving. A lot of other people are surviving. Maybe the budgets have come down. Maybe the assignments are frustrating. They are not as they used to be. But to say that it depends on one's individual needs. So
I wanted to answer that actually because the thing is, and this is no disrespect to anybody. I think, maybe you're really lucky and you're doing work that you love. I think it all depends, and it might be even controversial, based on how much you want to compromise. Right? I think a lot. I know some colleagues who've been shooting 20-25 years with me, and what they did then and what they have to do now because they have to sit around a studio. Most of them have decided to sell their studio. It's easier to hire a studio because you're shooting 25 days a month versus 2 days now. It makes sense to just hire it when you need it. What is your degree of compromise in the sense when you're doing work commercially? Commercially, I would even then put in if you're working for a magazine or newspaper also as in the commercial space because you're on salary. Editor ने ये बोला है, ये picture ये size नहीं जाएंगी. So compromising हो गया ultimately. So the thing is, or do you want to fight like say my father did or say Raghu did or Pablo did and said that nahi picture ऐसे ही जाएगी otherwise chuck the job. See there you have to respect the fact that these were the people who were the history of it. I'm not saying you rehash history, but these are the people who at least allowed you all to have that possibility to make those choices. I mean, just imagine a Kishore Parekh in 60s when these print pictures this size came in suddenly, armed with a degree in cinema and documentary on the scene in 61. And the week he joined, there was a full-page photo essay which never stopped for 7 years, with a credit line, with pictures not cropped, and a full page. It became a like thing people waited for. So he was alone at that time. So now there's a lot more happening, and that's the way the world is now. I personally think to answer your question is I think it's about compromises and people making choices because I've seen people who have no reason to do that, but just because the commercial angle and surviving comes into play, are making compromises which kind of varying degree and saying don't किसी को बताना मत मैंने ये किया, or go to the extent of actually giving a cut to the creative director who gives them that assignment. It happens all the time in Bombay. No one's come to me, and I think I've made sure that that's the aura around me where I've said there's no nonsense. I just want to shoot, and these are my fees, and that's it. Not in an arrogant way. Obviously, when you talk, you're absolutely talking like a nice human being, but just in what you believe, this is what it is. Otherwise, you have to have your plan A, plan B in place. The plan B at least supports plan A. That's what I tell people. I mean, I don't know how to make a living in photography. It just happened for me. For you, maybe it's in some other way. And so it's great if you can do it. But I really do not know how to tell somebody how to make a living today. There's just so many photographers. You just don't need sharp lenses, you need sharp elbows now. You just stand in one place. Just imagine if all of you were taking pictures and I was a big celebrity. What would happen here? So he came up.
You're a commercial photographer. You're used to directing models, how to pose, to look on the right and the left and a little down and up and all of that. So when, after so many years of doing that, now you do your personal work, do you see yourself directing your subjects?
I thought I answered that because in my personal work, I just mentioned that documentary was one phase. Personal and advertising has always happened together, right? Personal work is always, I'm doing more personal, but it's just that it's not in the public space too much yet. So it's happening simultaneously. So in my personal work, it's sacrilege for me to even move a leaf. I just shoot what I see. And that, it comes very naturally to me. Like, the personal work is shooting what I see, I don't arrange. Or just see it and capture it, and I don't even wait that long. Sometimes it's just there and it tells you shoot me. But advertising is like, but I enjoy it, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't bleed into each other at all. I think it just, I do it because maybe I can. Let me sound a little pompous here, I do it because I can. And if others can, I would say it's very therapeutic, it's great.
I am a studio person.
Cool.
I myself, I'm here to learn documentary way of seeing.
Absolutely.
But I am myself, I consider myself a studio person, art director kind of photographer.
Right. But you let that happen to you. You let that happen to you.
Yeah, I'm open to both.
What I'm saying, you let that be, if it's something you feel is imposed onto you at times. Yeah, no, see, my question is, say, today, I mean, if I walk into a space, even if I'm shooting an ad and somebody tells me there are no lights, which many times, a lot of my work, I mean, I like to use continuous source lights, film lights, many times. So I like it to just be real and just leave it at that. I mean, even if you don't have, I would still come back with a campaign picture. And there are lots of pictures, like, I mean, I don't even want to get into deals. Every campaign has a story. Like even the Satyapal Saris thing was a huge production. Everything failed. We are on top of the hill. The HMIs failed, generators failed, everything failed. So I popped up one little small Canon flash on an ST2 like a wireless transmitter, and I told everyone just buzz off for me. I was just in that space. We did some 11 clicks and that's it. And the one picture finally was huge. So the thing is, what documentary journalism is, you come back with a picture, whatever. I hate failure. So that is something you're trying.
I would think both of us.
Thank you very much, Swapan.